Welcome! Having left the torrential downpours in Alabama, I've arrived at Caddo Lake on the Texas-Louisiana border. I've driven around for a couple of hours, touring the area and generally looking for stuff. But now it's time to park up for a coffee and relax because, well, yeah. No photography happening yet. Still, it's forecast to stop soon, so fingers crossed. With the last remnants of the rain, I started my hunt for compositions in earnest. The reflections are clearly a great feature. I can fully understand why Caddo Lake is a great setting for horror and thriller films. It is exquisitely serene and yet both disturbingly eerie and ominously primordial all at the same time. There are alligators in here and, this being Texas, probably a plethora of insects and reptiles that bite, sting, stab, jab and generally want you for their lunch. So I'm trying to avoid what would be a less than pleasant encounter whilst manoeuvring around the edge of the water. But I particularly like the way the cypress trees are congregated together. The skies are a little flat and grey and, well, meh right now, so nothing doing there and very little need to include them in composition. I also like this cluster of trees in this gap, so I'll probably shoot those before I head off and forget all about them. The cluster of trees here is really quite nice. I can't quite get the separation I'd like, so I'm going to try cheating and hide the smallest tree right in front of the larger one. I also want a separation from the trees in the distance, so I'm at f4 with the hopes of creating a little blur in the background and giving more depth to the photo. Mill Pond had a little jetty allowing you to walk out to get a different perspective. Even on a rainy day in February, this is really such a pretty place. As you can see though, the last of the rain and wind is still hanging around, hindering the reflections of the cypress trees. I'm very much liking this location. Just so many compositions. In the moments when the water is still, the reflections are really powerful elements of the scene, and as the clouds start to break up a little, there are definitely stronger colours in the trees. I'm very much liking this location. Just so many compositions. I'd been at Caddo Lake for some hours now. I'd had no expectations of a sunset, which was good, as my expectations were met. The clouds had mostly gone at this point and the water was rippling across the pond as the old man's beard hanging from the trees danced in the breeze. Tomorrow morning should be a different kettle of fish entirely. With a little more rain overnight stopping in the early hours and no wind forecast, there's a very good chance of mist and clouds first thing. That would be epic. So now is the chance to pick out a few possible compositions for tomorrow morning. Although the problem is, there's a fabulous composition almost everywhere you look. With winds getting up and temperatures going down, I guess it was time for me to head back to my park up for the night, have a quick shower, a bite to eat, and then grab some well-earned sheep counting before an early morning with the full expectation of a sunrise or mist.
In 1 mile, arrive at Texas Caddo Lake Mill Pond on the right.
My return to the park the next morning was quite early, around 6 AM, but as you can see, it's still very dark. The park office wasn't open and I wanted to grab a leaflet and ooh, there's a sign out. I wonder what that says. Best I read, just in case. So here we are, back at Mill Pond, and this morning is exactly that. Calm as a mill pond, if a little chilly. Extra layers deployed, with gloves, and hopefully that should be enough. The first of the dawn light is appearing, but there's disappointingly no clouds despite overnight rains, and there's no mist either. That sucks. So let's walk out along the jetty and see what we've got. Okay, a few clouds. Not really in the right location. Maybe they'll catch some colour though. And if they do, here's the image. I would have liked just a little wider or set back a little further here, but not too bad. There are some mornings you hate getting out of bed, and the day then continues in that vein. And then there's this morning. What a great way to start the day. Caddo Lake is mystical magical. With such a calming and tranquil surrounding, everything was practically motionless. A few birds singing, the place was serene and very mellow. And cold. Did I mention the cold? This is Texas, people. It's just below freezing. Why? What's that about? The sun was now higher and, although there was no golden hour glow on the trees, the colours were much more pronounced against the greys of the Spanish moss. I'm sure the sun was heating up the area, but I just couldn't feel it, and it was bitterly cold. But the water had started to ripple in a slight breeze. The breeze continued to increase, as did the ripples, but not the temperature. My fingers and toes were telling me it was time to get back in the car and warm up. Next destination, faceless sister-in-law and faceless brother-in-law's house in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Or, at least that was the original plan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed travelling along with us today, a like and a subscribe would be much appreciated. Until next time.
How's the drive been so far?
It was alright until about the last hour.
Yeah.
I went through South Dallas.
I told you that sign was a lie.